go.
Do you guys think if Brandon dies, we get to speak at his funeral?
I think you probably could.
You don't think he would want Jack to?
I think he'd want Big Cat.
I feel like it would
You
be...
want
Dave.
Stone Cold
No, I don't think
Austin.
he would want Dave, because I think Dave would roast him the whole time.
He would want it to be.
He would want Dave to be there, though, because he would want the clout of it.
He would want it to be as big as possible.
You'd want some wrestling people.
He'd want it to
Yeah.
be like a whole production.
But he would definitely, I mean, Unnecessary Roughness would have to have some sort of presence there. I guess I would probably be the one that would have to speak, huh?
Yeah, like you'd do that in the college football show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what we should do. If he dies, we should have the college football show live at his funeral
Let's
and
just-
just leave his seat empty.
Or just bring the casket
Yeah.
every show.
Just put the casket like right on the end where he normally sits. I don't hate the idea.
A live college football show from Brandon Walker's funeral.
Yeah. I think it's a
That'd be
pretty
fun.
good idea. I think we could sell the shit out of it.
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean, we've said this before, and I know Erica's talked about it. Like, the first Barstool death, as morbid as it may be, it's going to be a moneymaker. Maybe it's going to be Brandon. He sounds like he's dying.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I mean, people who are listening to this that don't know, Brandon, he got the Rona. He has COVID. And when I say he has COVID, he has it bad. Like, he sounds like a completely different human that's underwater constantly right now.
Yeah. And like sometimes he's dramatic, so we're like, all right, he's down bad. And then we heard like, okay, he's
Yeah, no,
like,
I was mad at first. I was like, you're not going to just skip the podcast. And then I actually heard him speak and I saw him. I was like, yeah, actually, please just don't ever come out of your basement ever again. So,
yeah, thoughts and prayers.
but if he does die, I call dibs.
Fair enough. We'll stay in the background with lighters.
Hi. Did that sound like Brandon?
I feel like I do like that, like the breath.
Hi.
There you go.
That was a little. People that are listening to this in their headphones are pissing me right now. Welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, your Barstool Sports College Football podcast, presented by High Noon Hard Seltzer. Did I do it right? Do you think
Yeah.
I did it?
You
If
did.
Brandon
Got the
was here, would
drum
he
roll.
be proud?
Be very proud.
So yes, this is Unnecessary Roughness, part of Barstool Sports. We do all of the college football content, which, by the way, I tweeted that there was like 150 days left until college football started once Baylor won the national championship, because I was super salty about that. And the amount of people that were like, college football is going on right now. Like, folks, I know. I'm talking about when we get to go live on the road, we get to do our shows, we go back to 2 episodes a week. I get it. But I mean, come on.
It's a different breed.
It's a different breed of people.
Like
It's kind of like when the XFL was a thing. When you said the football season was over after the Super Bowl, people were really mad. It's like, you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. no.
We're not going live on the road until the fall. I realize it's different. But as we mentioned in the open, Brandon Walker is out bad. Big dead. Well, not actually dead yet. He's struggle city. So we decided we were going to do a different type of episode today. It's me, Jack, and Katie. Hello, Jack.
What's going on? I mean, yeah, Brandon's going through it, but I posted on Facebook in our group.
Uh-oh.
By the way, join our group. We're fixing. There's been some. If you've been in the group, there's been some issues with spam, but we're fixing it.
What kind
However,
of spam?
just
Porn?
like no,
Like-
it's people trying to.
Betting links and whatever.
It's
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
but we get
yeah,
rid of
yeah.
all these. We're setting up. I added a little thing to make sure that doesn't people don't get in.
Oh.
It was you had to answer multiple choice questions, 2 multiple choice questions. Which teams in the Big 12? Which teams in the SEC?
Oh,
And it was-
wow. You can do that?
Yeah, it's for group quality settings. But join our Facebook group, link in our Twitter bio. However, I commented something along the lines of somebody said something like, "Oh, yeah, Brandon," or I'm praying for Brandon, and I commented saying he needs positive vibes right now.
He does need positive
But then
vibes.
I replied to it and I said, "This sounds like he's dying," which he's not.
He's not, no, yeah.
He's not dying.
We're-
He's just sick. He's really sick right now.
He just sounds like he's dying. That's the problem. Like, if you've been listening to the Yak all week, they've been doing like a call check on him every day, and he's only able to talk for like a second, and he just sounds horrifically bad. So, he'll be fine. I have had to be stuck at home all week. I had to like sneak in the studio with a mask on. I am COVID negative. However, because I was around Brandon and around everyone else, I've been stuck at home. And let me tell you, I'm so over quarantining. It's just not fun. It's not a good time. I'm ready to get everyone vaccinated so that we can all just go about our lives.
It's the Roaring 20s this summer.
Everyone keeps like referring
Hopefully,
to that.
hopefully.
Here's my problem with that. I love the idea of most of it. I don't want to dress up every day.
Yeah, no.
And the Roaring 20s, you know, they had the flapper dresses and all. I'm not trying to do that.
Maybe like once every other week, but just like going out to a bar, being friends, not stuck at a table.
I love all of that. I love the idea of it just being absolute chaos. Everyone is vaccinated. You can drink and dance and all that. But I want athleisure to stay. And I want it to stay forever. I don't want to have to. I mean, my high heels haven't had to come out in a while. I think they need to stay put for a while. I'm okay with it.
I can't walk them anymore. I tried walking them, and my neighbors called us to be like, "What's going on? You need to stop." And I was
Jack's telling you to get closer to the microphone.
Or bring it closer to you.
Get closer to it, Katie.
like, I'm scared to be too close.
Make
now.
love to it. What do we say in the group text?
Oh.
Make whoopee to it.
Negging. Wasn't
Necking.
That? Negging.
I think it's necking.
This is 2021. That's like
Yeah, no, we
leave
were-
that
we
in
were
1920.
I said it was the 50s. Brandon said it was the 80s. I don't really know. I just know that I used to watch the Newlywed game show with my grandma, like the old school one, like really, really old when I was a kid.
I've never heard of that.
And you've never heard of the Newlywed game?
no.
So it's kind of like what we did with the best friends game over quarantine, where it's like you and I would sit and we have to try to guess each other's answers. They would have newlywed couples come on.
I mean,
and do
okay,
it.
I've seen viral videos of like the groom and the bride singing back to back. We have like the shoe, and it's like who gets dressed the quickest, like who starts.
No.
fights.
This
Oh.
was like an actual game show where you had to like write your answers. So it would be like, what's Katie's like biggest pet peeve? And I'd like write it down, and then we would show it. And if our answers were the same, we'd get a point.
Okay.
But it was like on a super old show, and they used to call sex making whoopee. And I would watch it with my grandma when I was a kid and be like, what is making whoopee? And now I look back like, why did we call it that? Why?
Making a whoopee?
Yeah.
Poor Whoopi Goldberg.
Look up, Jack, or Katie, whoever, look up making whoopee and see if it comes up what, like, year. Because I do, like, Brandon said he wanted to say it on the podcast, and he's not here.
Making whoopee.
Was this
1929. Okay, see? See my point. Shout out Eddie Cantor.
That's nope.
Oh my God, it was in a song.
Oh
It's a
my.
song. I mean,
that's the original
An-
WAP. That's the original
Look at
WAP.
this. Another bride, another groom, another sunny honeymoon, another season, another reason for making whoopee.
You see, this is the
No.
original WAP. What we went from making whoopee to wet ass pussy
In 20 years. I mean,
No,
100 years.
100 years,
100
one
years,
century.
20 years. 100 years. Please, I'm going to just keep reading this song. I'm sorry. I know this is completely derailing what we're supposed to do, but this is unnecessary roughness. The chorus sings, "Here comes the bride. Another victim is by her side. He's lost his reason because it's the season for making whoopee."
This song would not fly today.
Wait.
What the fuck does that mean?
Can you just play it? I would be shocked if it's somebody owns it.
What are we doing here? Like, okay, so a little bit of background inside baseball. In the group text, we were trying to talk. I don't know how we started talking about what hooking up is called.
Oh, because
Katie was talking about a
Casey
date.
asked,
Because I'm apparently
Or-
dating Playboy Marty. That's what. it
no,
was.
no,
Well-
no. You said somebody sent you a message and said Brandon Walker can move to New York City from Mississippi, but you can't come to Connecticut to date me. Then I asked you, wait a second, is this fella in Fairfield County, which is the richest county in America? And if he was from Darien, Greenwich, or Westport, or some of those, I would have told you, no. Maybe you should make the trek.
No.
But then he said Milford, and I was like, I don't know. about
None of that. I
Nothing
was,
against anyone that lives in Milford.
Right. Well, there is something against it, obviously, if you said that.
Well, just don't date
No,
someone
it's no
from New York
Darien
City.
or Greenwich. Greenwich,
Gotcha.
like
I gotcha. But the best part of the whole thing was that Brandon didn't realize we were talking about you dating someone. He thought we were talking about
He was
getting a
trying to work
job
here,
because he
yeah.
was like, "Well, tell me ain't no Brandon Walker." And it's like, "Well, why the fuck would Katie care if he's not Brandon Walker?" But then we started talking about all the different words for hooking up. I have no clue why we were, but we were. We stumbled upon making whoopee, and now apparently there's a song. Let's listen to it. This is a nice sound. Romantic.
I'm getting like American Horror Story vibes.
Oh yeah. There it was. You know what that sounds like?
No.
American Horror Story is a good thing. It sounds like a scary movie, a horror movie. Like they put it on the record player and it's just like
scratches.
starts scratching. Like, have you seen the movie Strangers?
No.
Oh my God, it's so fucking terrifying. But I think it's a Johnny Cash song that happens, and it's just playing on the record player, and she's like drinking her wine, just completely clueless. And then all of a sudden, like, they just get tortured and murdered.
Nope.
That song would be
I
on in
guess
one of
the
those
guy
situations.
who wrote this, Eddie Cantor, is a character in Boardwalk Empire. Have you ever watched that?
I've never watched that. No.
Okay.
I'm
Anyways,
trying to be an extra in Succession right now. I'll talk to you guys afterwards because I don't want to.
That'd be awesome.
I'm actually in the process of it right now.
They do film all across New York City.
Oh, they're
all the
filming
time.
everywhere. But I got like an actual email about this thing yesterday, and I'm telling you right now that if I don't even care if I'm like seen on TV. I just want to be on set. But I have like 18 bat signals out to get me on this as an extra on this set.
I think it could happen.
Well, PFT was an extra on Billions. I know PFT is much more famous than me, but I'm saying like if I am the number one
Also,
Succession
but
fan on the
you're
planet.
I mean, like, you're a female. He's a male.
And to be an extra, what they want extras for is a big fancy party, and they just
Okay.
want people like dressed up in the background. I can do that.
Yeah.
I just bitched about dressing up. I'll dress up for Succession.
And they'll probably do your hair and everything.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's a good
I
thing.
have to do it. So anyway, so today on the podcast, if you saw on social media, we are going to do an Ask Me or Us Anything, which is usually a scary thing to do because the internet is wild, wild west. We're going to talk about just a lot of different things. We'll do really whatever, but first we will do news and notes. It is, what's the date? April 7th?
Yeah.
God, it feels like it's forever until college football happens, but there are some news and notes, and we are going to start with, it was Easter weekend last weekend. And, if you celebrate, I hope you had a great Easter. Obviously, part of Easter is the food, the brunch, outside, depending on where you are religiously, Easter lunch is a big deal. Lincoln Riley posted on Twitter, Happy Easter, with a picture of quite possibly the driest meat I have ever seen in my entire life. And people up on the East Coast don't understand as much that this is a pride thing down there.
Also, people weren't like making fun of him. They were furious.
Well, barbecue Twitter is one of the angriest facets of Twitter.
And
People don't realize that until you get mixed
and
into it.
people were chirping him in terms of like, oh, you probably used the most expensive like brisket maker of all time, and you still fucked this up.
Barbecue Twitter, I would put up there with golf Twitter. Golf Twitter is horrendously bad, and they're really gearing up for Masters Week because everybody who likes the Masters, if you're not paying attention to golf all year around, golf Twitter hates you.
Oh, that's the worst.
It is.
Ooh,
The
I
worst.
should drop my golf take then this week.
Katie. If you want to rile up the golf people this week, do it because
Ooh.
Masters Week, and I love the Masters. My dad and I, that's one of our favorite traditions to watch together. We're gonna be able to do that, but barbecue Twitter is pretty close second to golf Twitter in my experience, and people were angry with Lincoln Riley. Like, and we have it on here. One of the best ones was, this motherfucker loves football so much he eats it for dinner. It is the driest brisket I've ever seen. Truly.
How do you take a picture of that? Like, ooh, this looks good, and this is a smart idea to post this.
You know why? Because he's probably like, I don't care if people don't like it, or he probably didn't even think about it. It's like,
No,
oh
he's
look, this
in his own world.
Yeah,
He's
like, he
he's
doesn't
a
think anything
millionaire.
of
All
it,
he
like,
thinks about is football.
it's seasoned. It's clearly seasoned.
It's
It's
not
just
burned.
Like, he
burned
probably
and dry.
he
and
probably didn't understand that he was gonna get roasted for
No,
this.
of course he didn't. Because people are crazy. It's like if you, like, I posted about deviled eggs, or people, I think Frankie did it. It was like, deviled eggs are poor people food. And it's like, what are you talking about? I love deviled eggs. I'm going to eat it all the time. Who cares? What Lincoln Riley didn't realize is that he is deep in barbecue country. And if you fuck up barbecue in that area of the country,
It's a sin.
it's a sin. I mean, literally, you are sinning by doing what he did.
Somebody had a really good quote tweet saying something. I think it was like Ben Shapiro's gonna try to fuck this brisket because it was so dry.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I saw that. I
That
didn't,
one was
It's-
funny.
I didn't get
Yeah,
it.
'cause
So I
he-
didn't put it
Because
there.
He's anti-WAP.
Oh,
he
right,
had
right,
the
right,
whole-
right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he read it and he
Remember
said like,
he-
if you have a wet pussy, you may have a yeast infection.
Yeah,
Yep,
Ben
now I remember
Shapiro.
that.
I still don't. Was that a troll job?
I don't think, like, I don't know. He's one of those you never know.
I mean, that's just scientifically incorrect.
Well,
It's
yeah,
medical
but
science,
that's
as
the whole
Smitty
thing.
would
Now
say.
he gets
Right.
roasted all the time for never making his wife wet.
Mm.
Damn, that's not what you want.
Well,
You definitely don't want that reputation.
But he doesn't. But that to him, that's good. I think.
Well, he's wrong.
Poor buddy.
He's like Brandon Marshall arguing about NBA contracts.
Brandon, I've never seen someone that mad in my life.
I laughed so hard when I watched it because he was so dead ass wrong, but so passionate that I almost believed him.
He was.
That was
If
crazy.
no one's seen that video, all you got to do is just search Brandon Marshall on Google right now, and you'll find it.
Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, was looking at him like he was the dumbest human on the planet, which was very
It's
funny.
funny because I saw a quote tweet, not to take this guy's joke, but everyone has a friend like that when they're wrong, they just yell louder.
Because if you're louder, you're imposing more. And like for me, if I'm in an argument and somebody just starts screaming louder at me, even if I know they're wrong, I just don't want to be in the argument anymore. I just simply don't want to be a part of it. So I'll usually acquiesce and be like, all right, whatever. And if I get louder and I start yelling, normally it's just because I'm so heated. But the problem is that Brandon Marshall just was flat out wrong. I mean, there was not even room for argument. Anyways, beside the point, Twitter hated Lincoln Riley. And I'm going to be honest, he needs to remedy this by making like the best looking brisket and making it nice and wet and juicy.
I mean,
know,
he
you
should
hated
just
that,
make
Katie.
it,
I'm
like,
sorry.
make
Yeah,
a
no.
joke out of it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and
it's
like make
redeemable.
a joke, like throw in a Cardi B joke. Why not?
Yeah, like it's redeemable. It's
It
bad,
would
but
be
it's
really. I mean, I don't know if Cardi B's available. Maybe Megan Thee
barbecue?
Stallion.
Getting
She is
cameo?
Texas, Houston, Texas. But
Yeah.
like if I'm Oklahoma, I'm checking on their schedules and seeing like if Megan Thee Stallion can come to or Lincoln can go to Texas and make just a brisket 30-second video and say, look at my moist,
wet ass
thank
brisket.
you Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion
My
for showing
wob.
me. And
Look at that.
you know how
wet ass
big
brisket.
you know how big that would be just for one, social media presence, and then two, just recruiting. This is perfect. If you get roasted, this is what I've learned about Barstool. It just like if you can take it and then turn it into your favor.
Yeah.
It's like this is something that because also it's just a brisket. It's not that
Who
big
gives
of
a
a deal.
fuck? Yeah. Well, that's Twitter in a nutshell. It's people actually angry and mad about what Lincoln Riley had for Easter, which
Yeah.
is ridiculous. More in the news and notes, and I know Jack is obviously he got very heated about this after the football national championship. But we did have the end of March Madness this week, Gonzaga versus Baylor, and people were losing their minds about football and how it's the same teams over and over. And Jack, you had this quote tweet on April the 4th, which was what, Sunday?
That was Sunday
Saturday?
or Saturday night? No,
Go ahead.
Sunday afternoon.
So you're just trolling everybody because people were thinking that it was going to be two different teams that ended up being the number 1 and number 2 team in the country.
Well, yeah. I mean, Jeff Duncan, I don't even know who he is. He said Oral Roberts, Loyola Chicago, Abilene Christian, Ohio U, North Texas. Meanwhile, college football has a 4-team playoff with the same 4 teams every year. He tweeted that after I think those 4 teams made it to the Sweet 16, or 5 teams, or maybe even just the second round. It's definitely the second round because Abilene Christian lost in the second round. Same with North Texas. Then I quoted him and just said, and you won't believe it, but the number 1 and number 2 preseason teams will meet in the championship. Sigh. Because at the end of his tweet, he said sigh. It's just, like, yeah, there's more upsets in college basketball in the tournament, and we know that the postseason college basketball is what it's all about. But we like to acknowledge, like, pretend that those Cinderella teams make it all the way. They don't.
Yeah, and if they do, it is rare. And we said this on either last week's episode or the episode before. Nobody is denying that the NCAA tournament is the best postseason in any of sports, in all of sports, not just college and professional too. There's no doubt. The tournament is unbelievable. But you can't look at college basketball and say that as a whole it's a better product than college football. And if you're listening to this podcast, you absolutely probably agree because you're a college football fan. There's just way too much happening in college basketball in the regular season to care near as much as you do every single Saturday with college football. I mean, you're a North Carolina fan. I mean, sorry,
Yeah.
I know you're sorry for your bad luck.
No, I'm excited.
Basketball.
I'm excited for our hire, but yeah, no, it's like for college football season, you have enough time to look at your own team and kind of look at the top teams, and look where else.
Yeah.
Whereas for college basketball, there's so many games, so many times you're like I forgot Like one day in the kitchen, Dan came up to me. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "What is
What's
he talking about?"
What I do?
And then I was like, "Okay, that was a Marquette game last night." I was like, "I think I went to bed at 8 p.m. Forgot we had it."
Yeah, there's just so many games. I mean, and that's fine. If you're a big time college basketball fan, good for you for following it. Most people tune into it for either gambling or for the tournament. College football does have a different vibe, but we're biased. I mean, I love college football more than anything on the planet. So, whatever, first of all, that national championship game in basketball was garbaggio.
Can I admit something?
Oh, no.
I fell asleep at halftime.
That's why you weren't texting me back?
I woke back
I
up
mean,
and
you didn't really miss anything.
You
so-
missed
I
nothing,
know.
but I couldn't figure out why she wasn't texting me back because I was blowing up her phone. And this is why, because I want to get to this so this makes more sense. I was like, she's either like on a date, busy, or asleep. And I was like, there's no way Katie is asleep right now.
yeah, I fell asleep during halftime. Woke back up at 2:30. I was like, "Oh, Baylor won." Okay.
Well, here's the thing. I fucking hate Baylor. We know this. Everyone.
It's been a long running.
It's been a long running thing. It's been a thing long before I got to Barstool. I grew up in Texas. Everyone knows this. Yes, I love Boston teams. Whatever. I grew up in Texas. Went to Texas A&M. Waco is an hour and a half from where I grew up. Piece of shit city. I wouldn't even call it a city. Piece of shit town. Yes, I've had friends that have gone to Baylor that I like. It doesn't matter. I hate Baylor. Anyone who goes to a big school in Texas knows it is a rite of passage to hate every other team in Texas. And I wouldn't even just say the state itself. I think that's normal with any state.
Yeah.
Like Brandon Walker hates Ole Miss. Same state as Mississippi State. NC State.
Duke, yeah.
You hate them because you went to North Carolina. So I'm watching on Monday, and you will never catch me dead or alive rooting for Baylor in anything, ever. So I tweeted it, and most people were like, "Oh yeah, gig 'em, you're an Aggie." Of course, you had the losers that were like, "Well, where's A&M?" It's like, "Well, they're at home, they stunk." That's not the point. I'm still not rooting for Baylor. And I'm going through my mentions because I was watching it at home, so I had more time to troll on my phone because I was stuck at home because of this quarantine thing. And I get this answer from a guy named Colton Kirby. Now, I don't know who Colton Kirby is, okay? So I just click on it. And the first one I saw was, "Where is Texas A&M?" And I said something along the lines of like, "They stunk. They're at home. Find a new slant." I hate that. Everyone we talk about this on the podcast all the time. Like using a chirp with the other person's school, like when they do it for Mississippi State, it's like, that's tired and old. Like, we can have opinions. But then this is what got me riled up. And this is where I started blowing Katie's phone up because I realized he's a viceroy for us. He said, grow up, Katie. What did he say? There's like a million different things that he said. But
Also, then he said.
he tweeted at me multiple times. He said, "Hear me out." I don't even remember. I want to make sure I'm doing
Where's
it
Texas
justice.
A&M? Then somebody responded, "You do realize your school didn't make the tournament either, right?" Then he said, "The school I go to right now did not, but Texas did. They lost to Abilene Christian." Bro.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But here it is. This is what really got me going, because this is the lamest argument in sports, in all of sports, college or professional. He said to me when I tweeted, "I refuse to root for Baylor ever. Let's fucking go Zags."
Mm-hmm.
He said, or ... hear me out ... root for the state of Texas. I am not exaggerating when I say that is the absolute worst argument on the planet. And he's not the first one who's had it. Colton, no offense, you just caught my wrath. It is the worst argument. And every time I see this, my immediate reaction is, let's just talk about professional sports. We live in Manhattan. We live in New York. Imagine telling a Yankees fan to root for the Mets because they're both New York teams.
That's not going to go over
Are
well.
you fucking kidding me?
Imagine telling an Alabama fan you got to root for Auburn. In
Root for the state of
Yeah.
Alabama. It is so ridiculously dumb. If you buy into rooting for your state, you are not a good fan of your school. Let's talk when the Astros were in the World Series a few years ago. I grew up in the Arlington area. I grew up, like, they were like, "Well, you should be an Astros fan because you grew up in Texas." Fuck no. If the Rangers were in it, maybe, but absolutely not. So I see this, and I'm just sitting there like, does anyone actually root for their state? And I will give him a little bit of credit when it does come to the actual state of Texas. People take it as its own country. Texas is like, they want to secede a lot of times. That you see the state logo of Texas a lot more. I get the state of Texas pride. That does not count when you're talking about sports teams.
And it's way too big of a state to say I'm going to root for every sports team in the state. What?
Just because they're in the national championship, get the fuck out. Because guess what? Baylor winning the national championship in basketball takes away potential recruits for A&M. Why? Because they're an hour and a half apart. So it is so lame to me, and it is so dumb. And I don't understand why people are still making this argument, because I don't know. I'm really trying to think of one state that has strong sports teams that would root for the other team.
Sure as shit is not North Carolina.
It's not Texas. It's not Mississippi. I mean, I really can't think of any of them. Can you, Jeff?
I mean,
professional sports too.
I remember for a state like Connecticut that just has college teams. I remember if Quinnipiac or Yale made kind of a run in hockey, UConn didn't have a hockey team at this time, or they weren't really good. They would be like, okay, root for like Quinnipiac or Yale to win it just for the state. But like, I don't think there's no way a rival, because Connecticut, there's only UConn. There's no real rivalries with UConn within the state.
Well, think about, like, you're a Jets fan, right?
Yeah.
Imagine rooting for the Giants just because they're from the state of New York.
It's outrageous. It's just rooting for a state is really weird, especially when we're talking about college sports, which college sports is built off of rivalries
and recruiting.
In Texas A&M is one of the biggest rivalries in sports.
Yeah. And
saying that you should root for the state, also, no, just like no.
No, and I actually like.
We're not going to hold hands and sing "Kumbaya" here.
No. And I did see some people like weigh in on rooting for your conference versus rooting for your state.
That will make sense financially, but
and also like I would prefer the SEC to win a national championship every year because it boosts A&M. That doesn't mean that I'm just like, oh my God, go Roll Tide, go, whatever. But I do think when it boosts your school, it's okay to root for your conference. But just rooting for the state of Texas is a fucking lame thing to do. Only in sports. I do understand we're talking about two different things. But what irritated me about this is like, I don't know why we're still arguing about this, but then this guy just kept going, Katie. And I was texting you about it. Now I know you were asleep. He said, he tweeted again, like silence, like as I was supposed to just be paying attention to his timeline the whole time.
Also, your name's Colton.
I like the name Colton.
That is true.
I do like the name Colton.
But, like, you're Colton Kirby. Like, don't be saying that you expect a response from Casey right away.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. But he said, while I have your attention, I'm like, well, first of all, you have my attention because you made a dumb fucking argument. But why don't you talk more about West Coast sports on Unnecessary Roughness during football season?
God.
I love the podcast, but I hardly hear anything about the Mountain West Conference in the Pac-12. He quote tweeted me, and then a day later said, silence, ... shaking my head. Colton, we talked a lot about the Pac-12 last year. They almost didn't have a football season.
Yeah, you need to play a season, more than 6 games.
No one cared if the Pac-12 played. And I don't know what to tell you about the Mountain West. We hit on the group of 5 as much as we possibly can.
We hit on the group of 5. We also tweet a lot about group of 5 games, news and whatnot. We're not going to
we bet on them.
We're not going to dive in to the Colorado State-Wyoming game unless something crazy happens on the show.
Yeah, no. And like I said, no offense to Colton. I mean, he's a passionate sports fan, also happens to be a viceroy for us, which is the only reason I even text Katie about it. More of just like, just don't make the state argument, dude. Don't do it. I don't know. If anybody that's listening to this has an example of where they would root for someone else in their state in any sport, let me know. I'm trying to think, like, Chicago teams fucking hate each other. It's just not a thing. It's just not a thing.
Also, it's not a thing anywhere. Like, if you told Troops to root for the other North London team, which is like his most hated team in the world, he would say, "Are you diluted, bruv?"
Well, also, yeah, that was good.
I feel like you made the argument with like a small school, like Wofford does something great, and like we were never in the
competition. All right, I can see that.
Like the small school up against a giant, like hypothetical. Like if Wofford basketball is playing Alabama basketball, like I'll probably pick Wofford because it's underdog North Carolina, sure.
But you're not talking like big D1 schools.
Yeah, on a national scale, like
no, that takes away recruits. And I mean, I would think that Longhorn fans would say the same thing. I can guarantee you, Texas fans are not rooting for Baylor or for A&M to win anything, and vice versa. And like even smaller schools in the state of Texas, TCU and SMU. Guarantee you, nobody at TCU is rooting for SMU. And
also,
vice
for like
versa.
a Houston Baylor semifinal, what are you supposed to do? Oh, I hope both teams have fun.
Or, like, can you imagine if, like, I tweeted after the Baylor win, like, hell yeah, that was a great win for the state of Texas? I'd get fucking roasted. Absolutely roasted. So, Colton, thank you for the content. I hope you're happier during the season. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the Pac-12. They should do something. Maybe worthy talking about.
Hopefully, yeah. If they have a full season, it should be good.
Hopefully. I mean, I saw LA is like completely opening up June 15th. If LA is opening up, we're having a football season, baby.
We're getting really close.
Yeah.
And I think the news on the vaccination fronts and whatnot, we're getting to a point where the country, 16 and up in New York City can get vaccinated now. I think that's almost in every state. We're looking really good. And then if we can I think we'll definitely have full stadiums in the South this summer.
Well, they almost had full stadiums last year.
In Texas, didn't the Rangers have a full stadium?
Yes. I will say that is a jarring image. The Texas Rangers stadium being 100% full capacity. And I mean, again, whatever side you land on with that, whatever your political beliefs are, it's still a jarring image to see because we're so used to now everything being so empty.
Yes, 100%.
But seeing it like that, I was like, oh shit, like that's weird. So we'll see what happens. Again, shout out the vaccination. Go get your vaccine. Have you guys made appointments yet?
I can't find one right now.
They're so hard to find. I have my first one next week. Jack, when Brandon gets back and he's healthy and he's happy, you know what we should do?
What?
We should make him dinner.
Dinner?
We should make him dinner because I know he's not eating a lot right now because he's so sick.
Yeah.
And he's probably not eating healthy if he is eating because he's just laying in his basement. I think we should make him dinner. Tell him we made it homemade, but really just use HelloFresh.
Yeah, perfect.
It is homemade.
I wasn't.
I know.
I wasn't down, but then I heard about HelloFresh and no, yeah.
Yeah,
perfect.
I mean, I've said this before, and for all of you guys and gals out there that like to cook for your people, I know our girl Paige Browning likes to do this too. I think she's actually like a really good cook. I'm not the best cook in the world, but with HelloFresh, it looks like I am because it's the easiest thing in the world. They have all the fresh ingredients. But Jack, they give you the exact amount that you need. So if you're making mashed potatoes, which I've been making from scratch with HelloFresh, which I feel very fancy doing, they give you exactly the amount of sour cream to put in it, exactly the amount of seasoning. If you need just a little bit of ketchup for something, just a little bit of sauce, they do it so you don't have to measure it out. You don't have to go to the store. And it just makes you look like an all-time chef when really you're just following directions.
I mean, HelloFresh makes it incredibly easy. And like you just said, it makes you look like a star. It's perfect for like if maybe a date night or even if people are coming over, people be like, how'd you make this? You don't even have to tell them.
Oh no, I will literally take things because they come with like prepackaged bags. So like say like I love like they have like the mom lovers meatloaf because I love meatloaf. Like they come in like a little bag, all of the ingredients put together. Then you have your meat, and I will take all of the ingredients out of the paper bag and spread it out as if I'm actually using them the way I should if I was not following instructions. But I am. They make it so easy. You can pick from meat options, vegetarian options, low-calorie options for 2 people, for 4 people. And I've said this once. I'm going to say it a billion times. It's the only thing that I actually pay for from an ad deal read. Like, I pay to use HelloFresh every single week because I love it so much. And right now, you can get 12 free meals. And I'm telling you, that is so much money. As someone who I get 3 meals a week, absolutely love it. If you go to HelloFresh.com/Walker12 and use our code Walker12, you get 12 free meals, including free shipping. Again, that's HelloFresh.com/Walker12. And 12 free meals is a lot. So you should go do that. And then
that deal is amazing.
Well, and the cool thing is you get to select your menu, right? So like some weeks, like when it was colder out, like I wanted to do more like homey things. Like I wanted pasta and soups. Now it's getting a little bit warmer outside, so I'm doing a little healthier options. Today I made a pineapple chicken stir fry for lunch. Delicious. Ooh. So everybody go to HelloFresh.com/Walker12. Use that code Walker12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping, and we'll just do it for Brandon when he gets back. It's maybe a welcome back Brandon Walker gift.
So when we thought Brandon was going to make it to this podcast.
Which is why we're putting it out a day late. But he didn't.
He didn't. He's feeling a little down, and he thought he just couldn't do the podcast. We were thinking, what should we do? Should we push it back another day? Should we just skip this week? Because, I mean, not skip it, but it is April 7th, dead of the offseason. But I think oftentimes people think in the Barstool world, like, people just exist. Like
they're just here.
You didn't exist before you came to Barstool. And a lot of people who found you at Barstool's mind, they're like, how did Kayce... It's not like Dave just walked down the street one day pointing at you and like, oh, you're the host of our college football show now. You're also going to be on radio, X, Y, and Z. I do think people, specifically who listen to this podcast a lot, would love to know a little bit more about. We hear things such as you went to Texas A&M. You referenced
You
you
think
worked at
people
ESPN.
know I went to Texas A&M?
Yeah.
I don't
You-
think so.
you
but
don't- you
they
think people know I'm an
might be a
Aggie?
question.
I don't know if I've mentioned it enough.
And so I pitched to Katie, and we brainstormed a little bit more. Just like make at least a segment, 20 to 30 minutes, just about the Kayce Smith origin story, and
In a fun way, for sure.
in a fun way.
Yeah, we don't, I mean, we are unnecessary
But
roughness.
you started at Texas A&M in a really fun time.
Oh, yeah. That is, I mean, hey, everyone that's listening.
Yeah.
What's the over-under on time right now, Jack?
We're at 33 minutes in, so
It took
probably
me-
people will hear this around like 35
It
minutes.
took me 35 minutes to mention this name, Johnny Manziel, but I was at A&M at the same time he was. But it is really, I forget sometimes. I've been at Barstool for over 3 years now, and I put out on my Instagram story, one of those like Ask Me Anythings, which I said earlier in the show is just asking for trouble and disaster. A lot of inappropriate questions, which I knew was going to happen. But the two main questions that I got were, how did you end up at Barstool, and are you single? And then there's a whole bunch of other ones we're going to get to, but I will answer both of those. But I'll start with Barstool. And I think that the most interesting thing about people who listen to this podcast who might not necessarily know where the podcast even started is that this podcast, this feed that you are listening
Yeah.
to right now, was started with me, Johnny Manziel, and his agent, Eric Burkhart. It was called Comeback Season.
Yep.
And that was a Dave Portnoy idea, which obviously Dave's a big brain, so he knows. Now, Johnny was in a place at that point, he was playing in the CFL, so he wasn't able to truly be himself and tell all of his stories yet. But, I mean, we made it, like, SportsCenter had to put Barstool Sports on there. They hate doing it when Pardon My Take does it. They had to do it, too, with us because, we had Cliff Kingsbury on, we had Danny Amendola on, we had Mike Leach on. And so we started it that way. But, Jack, what really I think people forget is that we added an extra episode a week for Comeback Season. Then it was me, you, and Dave
Yeah.
breaking down the games on Mondays, which is so weird to think. Like, you can go back on this very feed where you're listening to this and hear Dave yelling at me about football like 3 years ago.
I mean, I was still in college. Was I
It was
no, that
2018.
was senior year.
It was 2018.
And I mean, I remember it.
Right.
I certainly remember it. It was great. And
No, was it 2018 or 19?
it was 20. It was
yeah.
the fall,
God,
the season
2020
of
just
2018.
doesn't exist.
And the podcast was great. I loved it. I mean, I was an intern, and then I was just like not thrown.
Katie,
I remember.
Can I please tell you what he used to do?
Oh no.
I know what you're about to say, Jack, and that's why I'm cutting you off. He used to. It'd be me and him in the studio, right? We're at the old office.
He's
Just me and
smiling.
him.
He knows where this is
what's
going.
coming. He knows. He and I would be sitting in there, and again, these were reactionary podcasts about the games from the weekend. So these were always about like exactly what we thought had happened. Different bad beats, gambling, whatever. Jack would tell me what he thought. As soon as Dave came and sat down, he would agree with whatever Dave said, even if it was completely opposite. Completely opposite of what he had just told me. True or false, Jack?
No, I mean, I didn't have my.
I mean-
I could have had bigger like cojones in that.
Oh, really? And I would call him out and be like, you literally just said the opposite. But then I was like, well, he
tw-
is in college.
I was 21.
And it's Dave. I
I
get it.
needed
I
to get
get
a
it.
job. But looking back on it, well, one, I loved it.
It was very
Two,
fun.
I knew that you would make fun of me, and I'd
Oh,
say no, but I knew.
And of course
and
you
who's our
fucking knew.
producer?
Pat.
Oh.
Pat. Gay Pat was
Gay
our
Pat.
producer who probably
What?
watched 5 college football games before he started as the producer for us.
Pat produced Comeback Season. So me, Pat, Johnny Manziel, and Eric Burkhart, his agent, were all in a group text. And Pat would just be firing off to Johnny. It's just such a weird thing to think about. But that's how Unnecessary Roughness ended up becoming a thing, because it didn't work out with Johnny. And then, Brandon had his whole background. And I think
then Brandon came.
right, and we should definitely do one of these episodes with him too.
Yeah.
Because we've never done this where you really talk about what happened, but I think his story is a little bit more known just because it was so public
But
with
then
my bookie.
and we didn't do off-season episodes for comeback season, and then Brandon came in, and
Oh, Jack, yes, we did. You remember what happened when I was in Croatia?
Uh-oh.
that
Someone
was
was drunk.
before.
Oh, no. Oh, I see what you mean. Like, we stopped So the summer before, because Johnny was in the CFL, and remember I went to Yacht Week because I had it planned before I started
I
at
thought
Barstool.
Yacht Week was the
Oh, and
summer before we did our podcast together.
No.
100%
No,
was.
but comeback season had already started.
Yes.
Yes, you hadn't
Yes.
started doing the college
Yes.
football podcast yet.
Yes.
We hadn't started
But
the extra
Brandon,
episode.
this was in the summer.
Oh,
Brandon.
no.
Okay.
This is comeback season, because and here's the story about how I got to Barstool. Very long story short, was I was at NBC Sports Boston doing a 3-hour a night, 5-day-a-week TV show. That's a lot of airtime. That's for people that aren't good at math. That's 15 hours of TV a week.
And remind everyone, this was real TV. This wasn't like Periscope.
No,
It
this was network
NBC,
TV.
It was network TV, and
I got in trouble for calling David Price an asshole because you can't swear on TV. So I mean, just think about that. Like I had to calm myself down. But Dave, Dave was trying to really start college football up, and of course I knew what Barstool was, especially being in Boston. I knew what Barstool was, like from Saturdays or for the boys, and I casually had read it. But he slid into my Twitter DMs at 2:00 in the morning Eastern time and was like, "I hear you like college football," and I had to go back and forth and look at it and be like, wait, is this actually Dave Portnoy? Is this really Stool Presidente? Mm-hmm. And I said something like, yeah, why are you DMing me at 2 a.m.? And he was like, well, I'm in Vegas. And I was like, okay, fine. So it's 11 p.m. your time. But what happened was that he had seen me on TV in Boston, knew my background. Like I've said, I was at ESPN covering college football. And he was like, we're trying to start college football at Barstool. And I was like, okay, that sounds fucking awesome. And while I was at NBC, I obviously was covering the Patriots. And at the end of July is the last time you can go on vacation, right? Right before camp starts, right before all of the games start. So I booked a trip to Yacht Week for my birthday. Yacht Week is a crazy time. How the fuck was I supposed to know that by the time Yacht Week came around, I'd be covering the CFL? How was I supposed to know that? How was I?
And also,
how was I supposed to know?
This was a different time at Barstool.
Yes.
This was a time that this was pre-pandemic. Everyone was together all the time.
And the old office was much smaller.
When everything was close together.
If you didn't come to work one day, everyone knew.
Everyone knew. And this was also peak, if you go on vacation, Dave's going to know about, everyone's going to know about it. And then, I remember with you, it was specifically, it was a few months after you started, I would say?
So I started at the end of February, early March. My first week in the office was actually March Madness.
Yeah.
And I never actually gambled on sports.
Yeah.
So it was a whole new world for me. That clip we talked about, that clip that went viral recently, or viral, but Barstool viral, where it was Dan being like, yeah, I bet every single game. I was like, really? You bet every single game? And it's like, oh my, how things have changed. But Yacht Week was at the end of July, because when I booked it, of course, it was the NFL season was my most important thing. And then I'm somewhere in the middle of the Mediterranean, no Wi-Fi whatsoever. And all of a sudden, we do get a patch of Wi-Fi, and my phone goes fucking nuts.
This is when he signed in the...
No, he started for the first time. So this is when Johnny started for the first time, and Dave is just going batshit on Twitter. I'm going to have to come in and talk about this, host your podcast. And that is where Ibiza Kayce became a thing, because he confused Croatia and Ibiza. And my nickname was born. And every time I would come on Barstool Radio, Frankie would play I Took a Pill in Ibiza. And that's how I was introduced into the college football world here.
If I recall correctly, he quote tweeted.
Oh, man.
He quote tweeted the
me.
tweet that said Johnny Manziel is starting this week.
Yeah.
And he quote tweeted and said, this would have been great if we got this scoop at Kayce Smith at comeback season. And
He body bagged me.
I remember the first time you came in and was on a radio. I think that was probably when you interviewed.
Yeah, so because Dave and I met in Boston. We met right before the Patriots home opener in 2017. We had lunch, and he was telling me, what the plan was. And at the time, I had 6 months left on my NBC contract, so I was like, I guess we'll see. He was like, well, just come do radio, come do the rundown. And that was I came in. He and Erica both offered me the job there, but I had to keep it quiet because I was under contract with NBC. But once I was able to start talking about it, the biggest question, and another thing I got a lot in my Instagram DMs today, were what made you decide to want to jump from, network TV to quite literally the anti-network TV? And again, like this isn't just, like a timeline of me, but I was at ESPN covering college football. It's what I wanted to do my whole life. I essentially was told that I was never going to be more than a sideline reporter, which I have no problem with sideline reporters. I think if you're good at it, it adds so much to the broadcast. But to be told you're just never going to do anything else and to be really put in that box, especially because I started in radio, I was like, what the fuck? And so it didn't work out.
And you started in radio at TexAgs.
Yes. So I was at TexAgs, which is why I bring up Gabe Bach and Billy Lucci. Like I started in radio.
And tell everyone who may not know what TexAgs is.
So basically TexAgs is the way more censored A&M version of Barstool. They're multimedia. They've got fan forums. They've got radio. They have their own radio station. They've got videos. And it's an unbelievable company if you're an Aggie. And it's like their own. They have their own recruiting, so they're not tied to 24/7. They're not tied to rivals. Like they are their own recruiting site. So that was my first job out of college, and I was producing a radio show. Actually, like they didn't have an opening for on air, and I was like, well, I really want to be a sideline reporter for ESPN. But like, how do you just become a sideline reporter for ESPN? So I had to start in radio.
And while you were at A&M, you worked for the radio station there, or
12 Man Productions, which I know is different now because of the SEC network. But the SEC network didn't exist when I was in school. But it's basically like the broadcast department for all of sports. And I worked in, like, when you watch baseball games and you see the lower thirds of the stats, like I was the one creating those stats, like live stats during games. I was doing it for football games, the same thing. But I finally got to be on camera my senior year. I got to be like the football team reporter. I started out as a water girl my freshman year of college. I was literally pouring Gatorade for the football team. Yeah. I was a water girl, and then by my senior year I took a victory lap. My 5th year I was reporting from practices and from 2-a-days, but I got to do a tailgating segment on the big screen at Kyle Field. And let me tell you something. That was the height of my life. Like I peaked. I was like 100,000 people are watching me, get to report live from whatever fucking tailgate won the HEB tailgate of the week.
Yeah.
And that to me was like the end all be all. And that's, like still to this day, everything that I get to do that's like the next step, I feel that way. But that was kind of my first moment because, and I know I've told this story before too, but I knew I wanted to do this my entire life. I never wanted to do anything else. I used to run around with a hairbrush talking about football as a kid because it's just me and my younger sister. She doesn't give a fuck about sports. So my dad had one daughter that loved it. And then in 8th grade, they said, where are you going to be in 15 years? And I said, I'm going to be an ESPN sports broadcaster. So I was hell-bent on doing it. But when it didn't work out at ESPN,
who makes that call? Like, oh, you will never be more than a...
and I'll never even say this person's name. Never. He knows who he is. I had a situation there where, and I've said before, like some of my best friends, Laura, have I talked about Laura Rutledge before?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have. She's one of my best friends. She's very high up at ESPN. I have a lot of great friends there, but that's what pisses me off the most about when people talk about the structure of Barstool and how they treat their employees, because I wasn't treated horribly, but I wasn't treated very well by certain people there. And when it kind of fell apart, I was asked, like, do you think you're as good as, and would name another female reporter? Do you think you dress as well as this female reporter? Do you...
Wow, even dress as well.
Oh, yeah. So it became, like, I remember...
That's like a...
Well, and it was literally pinning. It was like, do you think that you're as good as this person? And it's like, you're asking, I'm in my mid-20s. You're asking me, I'm really young, to compare myself and pit myself against other females that are doing the same exact thing that I'm trying to do. And I remember being on the phone at that very moment and being told, like, well, we were told it took you a while to do this hit. And I was like, I've been doing live SportsCenter hits for you guys for 2 years. Like, you put me on a SportsCenter circuit. You know what I can do. And it just felt like there was a lot of things that were behind the scenes, but I was like, you know what? Like, I don't have to deal with this. And, they were like, well, we don't have room for you anymore, basically, when it became like a mutual decision of just like, there wasn't really respect on either side at that point. And I was like, well, what am I going to do?
Would you, at that point, did you have an agent?
Yes. Okay, so when you're in network TV, that's another thing too. People at Barstool, like, that don't have agents, and like the internet will chirp them like, why do you have an agent? You have to have an agent if you're working in network TV, because it's not like anywhere else here at Barstool where I can just walk into Erica's office or walk into Dave's office and say what I need to say. You can't get into those people's offices at ESPN or NBC or Fox or wherever else. And so, like, you have to have somebody that works for you. But I was like, well, fuck me. I guess I'm not going to be a sideline reporter anymore. And I went back into radio, and that's where TexAgs came back in. They let me use their studio for free. I was basically like paying to work. I was paying my.
Did you feel like at that point it was over?
No, actually.
Okay.
I mean, I know, but a lot of people told me it was, right? Like, a lot of people were like, you were leaving ESPN, like, you were doing these great games. Like, what are you going to do? You're going back into, like, simulcast radio on Periscope and Twitter and whatever else. I was like, I don't really have an option here, guys. Like, I can go back to try to doing sidelines, because I did NBA sidelines for a little bit as well, but I was like, this isn't what I want to do. I want to be more free-flowing. I want to have more of an opinion. And so I started very classic, clever name, the Kayce Smith Show, which was with SB Nation, and I did it for 5 months, and that's how NBC Sports found me. So I was paying to work. I was making, I mean, literally negative dollars, but I got to actually talk about what I wanted to.
And didn't you have a show at one point with another female?
So Annie, her name is Annie Kuntz. She's actually an Olympic athlete now. She's gonna be
Casual.
Yeah, she's a heptathlete. She's absolutely beautiful, but she was a dual athlete at A&M. She played soccer and ran track, and is now literally on Team USA in California. And she was on the Kayce Smith Show with me, and we were just trying to figure out a way we could talk sports. And that is really how, that was in 2016, so it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
That's how it kind of all came to fruition. It was taking a gamble on myself and saying, all right, well, if this doesn't work, luckily I've saved some money. We'll see what happens. NBC Sports hired me from that, and then a year later, Dave hired me.
Was it NBC Sports Boston who reached out, or more NBC Sports general?
So it was NBC Sports, but it was Boston, because they were, so at the time, and, you know, linear TV is just dying unless it's live sports, which sucks, because I mean, you know, there's a lot of great people that work in that industry, but linear TV is struggle city right now. They were redoing their lineup, their TV lineup, and they said, we want to do an opinion commentary show. And they said, Boston Sports Tonight, 3 hours.
And there was a bunch of you on that show.
4 of us. Yeah. But they were like, we don't want it to all be just Boston people. We want it to be, you know, and we want to see how we can like mix and match. So I had to go up there for, I think, 3 different test interviews. I'd never been to Boston before. I obviously love Boston now. It's my favorite place in the world. But I did that, and that's really how, so it all of it came full circle, where it was like Dave saw me on TV a gazillion hours a week, but then also went and saw like, oh wait, she actually started in college football. That's what she loves. So here we are. And that's how comeback season started. Then Brandon came along, and Brandon, like that, remember that Periscope he did, which he would probably die if we could dig it up now, before he even got to Barstool, and someone was like, who are you most excited to meet? Do you remember this?
And oh, yes.
Do you remember this? I think that
he was on his, like, couch.
Yeah.
And it was,
Do you know about this,
kind
Katie?
of
No.
dark.
Oh, my
it
God.
was kind of dark. It's
Yes.
a weird video.
It's a weird, it's
like,
a funny
I mean,
ass
aren't
clip.
all his Periscopes weird videos?
But so think about this.
No,
He's
this
not.
one you didn't know Brandon.
We didn't know Brandon. We didn't know him. Like, we knew who he was because of like the fallout from like the MyBookie stuff, and obviously Dave and everything. But like, nobody had met him. Nobody had interacted with him, and he did this like Ask Me Anything Periscope basically. And they were like, who are you most excited to meet when you go to HQ? And he like pauses, and he gets this little grin. He's like, Kayce Smith. And it was so cute and so funny. I bet he would take that back now. But I remember it was just pure. And he was like, she loves her college football. She knows her college football. So I was excited to meet him. Now, you know, we hate each other. We're like, you know, we're actually like an old married couple. But I mean, really, that's how quickly these things came to fruition, was like, well, comeback season didn't work. Brandon got hired. We already had the college football feed, the college football show. I mean, Tommy Smokes was on the fucking college football show before Brandon. He didn't know shit about college football. So Brandon being added to it, which is why I said a couple weeks ago, like, I walked so you could run. That is, I wasn't even trying to be an asshole. That is true. Like, we started college football, you know, very slowly. Pat McAfee was here at the time. I never ended up working with him, but
The I Walk So You Could Run got like 500,000 views on TikTok.
Oh, I didn't know it was on TikTok.
And a lot of people were like, who is she to say this? And I had to reply to like so many comments saying it was a joke. Like, relax.
oh my God.
But it was a lot of people who were like didn't even know Barstool, or like, because with TikTok it's like it just pops up on your For You page, and they're just like, oh, who are these two? But
I mean, it's true. It is a fact.
No,
a
I
little
mean,
bit.
I remember because I started as an intern before you got hired, and then I met you because if you remember, you used to work next to Jared on that little small desk.
Well, I moved there because they added a desk for me literally in the middle of the rundown set. And so every day they would have to move me. And I was like, I don't want to be here. So I moved back between Jared and Larry the goldfish.
Larry the gold. And then I sat.
He's in our freezer now, or one of them is.
Wait, Larry died?
Well, isn't there a bunch of Larrys
Yes.
over the years?
Yes, but
No,
no,
Larry's
not
still,
there is no
this,
that
no,
Larry.
this
No,
and this Larry, by the way, has outlived all of the Larrys
Fine.
combined by literally all of them before combined. And I still say it's because I sat next to him for a year and we used to just vibe.
there is another goldfish in the freezer.
Oh, I think that's what was Dave's goldfish name? Randolph. I think that's Randolph.
Yeah, but if you open our freezer
I
and
think
you
that's
look,
Randolph.
I think
there
Randolph.
is
yeah.
a goldfish
R.I.P.
in our
I
freezer.
think
He-
Spider put it there.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he
but-
died. He was Dave's only friend in the pandemic.
Yeah, but why is it our?
Remember when
can
Dave
we,
was losing his mind and he was singing to him every day?
Can we put him in Dave's freezer?
Randolph.
We don't need to put him in our freezer.
No,
I think he's got to stay in our freezer.
it's good for Rick.
It's directly eye contact every
I
single
haven't
time.
seen this. I need to go see it.
Yeah, oh,
I
it's right
can't
there.
go see it today because I'm not allowed, to walk around the office. Thanks, Brandon.
That's
But
but yeah.
I
That
just
story, yeah,
that's a long-winded way
Yeah.
of saying there is no certain path to Barstool, but I fucking love it because you can say whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, and I mean now, if you would have told me that I was going to get to host a traveling college football show with Dave Portnoy and Dan Katz and now Brandon, and then obviously the NFL show this year with Deion Sanders, who I grew up just idolizing, it's just that those things do not happen at other places other than here because you just do whatever you want. And it's truly a dream come true. And had ESPN not been such dickheads to me, or some people at ESPN, who knows where I would have been. But here I am, and
you're
Brandon and I are a married couple now.
yeah, and you're happy
Oh, I'm
that
so
it worked
happy.
out this way, right?
Oh my God, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah,
I was on,
I assume that.
I was on Token CEO with Erica over the summer, and we had Laura Rutledge on as well. And if you talk to Laura off air, she sounds just like us, right? She's letting it fly. She's inappropriate. She's a real human being. She puts on her ESPN hat and has to be super professional, and she's fantastic at it. She's one of the best ever. But when we were doing the interview, Erica and I are sitting on the laptop and we're just like, fuck this and fuck that. And she's just you can tell she wants to let it fly so bad. But that's the difference between, for me working at a network versus here. It's there's room for all of it. And you need to have censored stuff. You need to have structured stuff. But if you're someone like me who would rather just hear what you're actually talking about at a bar or what your friends are actually talking about when it comes to gambling, that's where Barstool comes into play. So I'm very lucky. And of course, Brandon and I, we do hate each other half the time, but we're a pretty good pair. And the two of you adding Katie this year, I think we've done a great job.
Yeah, I think you guys probably have one of the better rapport at this company.
Even though we hate each other.
It adds to it.
I think it's a love-hate.
It's all in the name of
Depends
content.
on the day.
It does
That's-
depend on the day. Have you noticed he's been escorting me out recently?
I think that's to avoid being alone with Jack and me.
With
No, he'll do it even if we're not
No,
recording.
yeah,
he'll
walk.
escort me to the door when I leave.
It's because the door holding open thing.
So he's not even being a gentleman. He's just doing it because he got chirped for not being a gentleman.
I mean, maybe subconsciously, but I feel ever since he's just been a little nicer about holding doors open.
No, what he does is he comes to my desk and does what do you call this whenever you hook arms
I know what you're
escort?
saying.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like when
Yeah.
an usher escorts you at a wedding. He does that and he'll just walk me to the door and say goodbye.
That's weird.
I've seen him
I'm
do
totally
it.
okay with it, but he's been doing that more often, and now we've been doing daily hugs too,
He just
which I go up to his desk for the daily hug, but it has become more of a thing recently. I don't know why.
Do you think Brandon needs a friend?
Right now, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember how he lost it during the pandemic? He actually
She
had
doesn't.
he had a full-blown meltdown.
There was points during the pandemic. that
Erica texted
we
me
didn't
asking
make-
wellness checks on him.
We didn't know if Brandon was going to make it.
She was texting me, and I was
we would-
miles away from him. She was like, "Are we okay here?"
We would
What's an example of it?
just be recording the podcast, and there would just be just a little sound of the kids that you could barely hear on Zoom, and he would just
Snap.
he would just not snap at the kids. He would just
Snap.
snap. It wasn't yelling at the kids. He was. Man, those quarantine episodes.
Oh my
I was
God.
never concerned about Casey. Well, there was a few weeks in.
Yeah. Don't bring
But-
up old shit, Jack.
But there was points during Brandon.
He would show up
Remember
shirtless.
the squirrel?
The squirrel obsession. Remember when
was-
he showed up shirtless with just a blazer on and a tie? And his hair was everywhere. Like he was like, if you look back at the, like, you know, we made fun of the celebrity video, the Imagine video. If you look back at that, that's like peak Brandon Meltdown, and his beard is everywhere. There were some testy moments.
Oh.
Testy moments. So, I mean, we made it through, and because this is a year-long podcast or year-round, you know, we had to do it. But, I mean, I think we're an odd couple. We work.
Oh no, I mean this podcast.
This family is an odd family.
It's been through a
Dysfunctional.
lot. This is episode 121. I'm pretty sure.
Really? Ah.
And
Well,
that doesn't include comeback season.
oh yeah.
I got you know. There's a joke from the comeback season from Parks and Rec. It's like when they break
Katie?
characters. They use I'm
Katie?
going there.
But
it's-
making a
if you-
sexual innuendo?
Of course.
Yeah.
But
Well,
no,
Brandon's not
if
here
you
to
look
shame
it
you.
up, Parks and Recs when they break the fourth wall, and I think Andy they're talking about like really great comeback stories.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. Back shots only.
Yep.
Yeah. What can
Sorry,
you do?
comeback. Every time I hear comeback season, I'm like, I go right to that
Well,
club.
and
If you know,
I-
you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. And I will say, Brandon replied to our tweet today, and he said, "Yeah, I have two questions. Who do you think you are, and what gives you the right?" Had no clue he was referencing The Office. No fucking
I didn't
clue.
know it was an
I
Office.
He
was.
references so many things every single day that I
I've
mean,
casually watched The
this
Office.
is
I think it's
why he's
fucking
so good
hilarious,
at
but like,
trivia.
My
He
dad
keeps it
will
all
text
up
me
here.
about them because apparently the Dickinson he like did an Oliver Twist reference that went in one ear and out the
Yes.
other. But my dad
Yes,
texted me
he
later.
did
He
have
was
an
like,
Oliver Twist after it.
he pulled that out. I was like, I was.
I
listening.
mean, really, like, so and of course, I was ready to fight with him. I was like, don't make me screenshot the group text again where he was like, I'm too sick to come to the episode today. And I realized he was just referencing The Office. So that's my bad. But we did ask for people to do AMA. And the first one I want to start with, as we're talking about our dysfunction of a family that we have, I got a fuck, marry, kill Jack, Katie, and Brandon. Jack, I know I told you this already, but I moved apartments recently.
Yeah, I heard.
Moving is not cheap at all, especially in New York City. I'm also refurnishing my whole apartment right now because, you know, I figured, hey, new place, I need some new things. But the problem is that it's racking up my credit card. You know what I mean? It's really hitting that credit card in a different way
Hard.
right now. It's hitting it hard. But we have a solution to that.
Yeah, I heard we do. And
We do.
This isn't the first time solution
No,
on Unnecessary Roughness.
it's not. It's just I'm really paying more attention to it now because I'm running up that credit card bill. Of course, 2020 was tough on a lot of people. Financial situations stunk. But our friends at Upstart right now, they're making it so much easier. Like if you're carrying your balance month to month, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be in credit card debt. But you're not the only one because thousands of people right now are doing that every single month, and they're just adding on to that debt. But Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off that debt with a personal loan. And Jack, it's all online.
It's so
You don't have to
easy.
go
You don't
anywhere.
have to go somewhere. And going places right now, it's still kind of just like, it's annoying because you got to wear your mask.
Yeah.
You got to meet someone who, Lord knows where that person was. And
You don't want to wait in line.
the best part about this is it's just easy.
Right. If you go, it's a 5-minute online rate check, and you see your rate up front for loans between $1,000 and $50,000, and you can receive those funds as fast as one business day after they accept your loan. And coming from somebody who likes to do everything online, being able to handle your finances and get your loans figured out, your debt figured out, Upstart is the way to go. So find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/roughness. That's upstart.com/roughness. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know that we sent you because Roughnecks are loyal. So make sure you use our URL. And Jack, you know, loan amounts are all different for everybody. So obviously terms and conditions do apply. It's based on your income and your credit, certain other information. But that's why you go take that 5-minute quiz.
Yeah, and they're going to the quiz makes it easy, and they'll explain it to you no matter what.
And it's private.
It doesn't matter. Your income can be whatever it is, and they're there to help you.
And you get your simple fixed monthly payment. So again, that's upstart.com/roughness. Figure out your loans today. And let me tell you something. I get so many. Everybody at Barstool gets so many fuck, marry, kills. Like when we used to have Sirius XM, like the amount of people that would call in and ask those. Usually I don't answer them, especially when it's like 3 dudes at the office. Like I'm not about to sit here and like do that with my coworkers because if the guys did it with the girls, all hell would break loose. But I'm going to answer this one. I am going to obviously fuck Katie. and I'm going to let that one breathe for a second because I know that
The
Jack's going to
YouTube
clip that
video.
out. Yeah,
Yep.
no, I know. I'm going to kill Brandon because he is married. He's already married to someone way hotter than him. She's absolutely beautiful. He way outkicked his coverage. So I'm going to kill him out of respect for Mrs. Walker, which means I would marry Jack.
Wow.
We'd be a great college football couple.
Yeah.
We would.
I mean, yeah. Where's our wedding gonna be? Is
Not
it-
UConn.
Oh, definitely not at your shithole of a stadium.
No. Wait.
This marriage is
I
going
would love
great.
to be. I would love. Yeah, married at the 50-yard line. It would
We're
have
gonna
to be
go-
during a game.
Oh, remember when was it last? No, it wasn't last year.
Texas
Obviously,
Tech,
2
2
years
years
ago,
ago.
Texas Tech. They did it with the mascot on the.
There's been a bunch
At
of
halftime.
engagements.
Yeah,
Engaged,
lots
but-
of engagements, but this was an actual wedding at halftime
Yeah.
with like the fucking mascot.
If
And the woman was wearing like her wedding dress.
Yeah, it was a bizarre scene.
what would you do if a guy proposed to you during halftime of a football game?
Football show.
Football show.
Football
that one
show,
too.
I'd probably be like, I don't know. Like, here's my thing about engagements. It's like I know people like to shame like big screen engagements or like whatever. Like, if that's their thing, then I don't care. You know. So for like me,
Especially if you met at a game.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
something.
like I just when people are like, oh, that's a lame engagement. It's like who the like why do you care? Like that's how they wanted to get engaged. I don't know. I mean, proposing to me at a game would be weird. 'Cause it's what I do for a living. I think. You know, like I don't know. I'm not. You know,
You
I
could
don't
be
want
like
to get married.
sidelining halftime break, come back and being like with your hand up, be like, well, this.
Yeah,
this
like
just
I'm like
in.
in the middle of the college football show and like I come back or something and it's on. And I mean, there's the second most asked question of the AMA today on my Instagram is, are you single? It's like, no one knows anything about my private life. Like I am not
Yeah.
married by choice. I do not want to be married. I had a super serious relationship for 6 years in Texas. He was great. Just didn't work out. I don't want to be married and I don't necessarily want kids. So everything else is private. No one can ever
I
figure
didn't
out who
think
I'm
we were-
dating. Ever.
Yeah. I
For
I
good
rarely
reason.
know.
And you gotta like that's impressive. Like
Sometimes-
tabloids know everything.
Sometimes I'll know.
Well, I'll tell you.
Yes. But
But publicly,
oftentimes, like right now, I have no idea.
people like there are a lot like, how are you single? And I guess it depends on if you're defining single as like single or married. I don't know. That there is so many different weird things. But like my dating life, I can't keep far enough away from Barstool. Like I just don't want it.
I think that's a good decision. Too.
Well, yeah, because then when
Yeah.
things end, it's like when people used to go Facebook official all the time, then they break up in the whole world, and they're like, I don't fucking want that.
Yeah, no.
I
that's
want to
weird.
keep my private life separate,
What
and
a
that's
weird time.
like when Facebook
I
official
forgot
was
about the
so
Facebook
important.
relationship, and then
And at
you
y'all's
would
age, I can
change
only
it,
imagine.
and they would change it.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I think that's one of the
I
most
completely forgot about
huge-
that.
I
I
saw
remember
someone do it
I
this
was in
year.
middle school when it was big.
And then it was like if you got broken up with, like did they did it first or not? Like who was actually going to change it
Sometimes-
back to single?
And then sometimes it would be like it's complicated.
Oh yeah, oh big time.
Yeah, that's
Ah.
no.
That's I think that the difference with my age here, because again, inside Barstool walls, like everyone feels like the same age. It's just not. It's much easier for me in my early 30s to keep everything private because I kept everything private before. Where it's like Rhea and Hank were like thrust into the spotlight when she was like 19 years old. So I think that's another thing with Barstool's are most people's private lives here. Like you would be surprised by because we don't publicize them. Like
there are a
we're-
few people I found out were married. I'm like, I didn't even know. Like,
Yeah.
like someone had a kid announcement, and I was like, I didn't know you're married. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I think that's like the most. That's why people on the internet and people on Reddit and commenters and all that always like try to like draw connections to who people are dating or hooking up with because like they want to know so bad. But for me, it's like that's my private life and I keep it completely separate of Barstool and work, which is why you might catch a glimpse here and there of things on my Instagram, but I'm not publicizing anybody until I'm married. If I ever get married,
Yeah, or
marriage kind of seems like it's for the birds. I'll be honest.
or you're like me and Brandon makes up false rumors, and now everyone in the office thinks I'm dating Playboy Marty. So
Well, here, Katie, you should just buckle up because, and Jack can attest to this for me.
it's not going to change anytime soon.
Not only is it not going to change, I think I have been rumored to have dated and or hooked up with almost every single guy in content here. Right, Jack? Wouldn't you say throughout my tenure? Like there was a time where people thought I was hooking up with Marty and John Feidelberg, and then we all three went on a content
Marty.
vacation, and people were like, "What the fuck?" Like,
the Marty one.
who's
was,
now dating my sister seriously?
I
So
know.
it's like
Wow.
people
and I
just
know, and like people like because everyone's really friends in the office.
Yeah,
like,
we're also close.
We knew about the Marty and your sister thing before like it was public.
right.
but then that was during the time everyone was like, man, are Casey and Marty dating? And I
thought that
I
with
would
Kevin.
always see
I've
that.
got it with Jared. I've gotten it with, like, I
I
stared.
remember
I
Jared.
stared.
Jared, once you posted an Instagram of the first, I think it was a party. It was a summer party.
Oh God.
Office party, and you posted a photo on Instagram of you and Jared
And
on
Erica.
a couch. Yeah.
Yes, that's
and
right.
everybody on like the Reddit and whatnot was saying, "Oh my God, Jared and Casey are definitely dating."
I
now."
mean, people thought that I was hooking up with Dan when I was staring at his ass, because I have done that multiple times, which is still my favorite thing I've ever done at Barstool, which is, of all the things I've done, of all the podcasts and shows and everything that I've gotten to be a part of, the best thing I've ever done at this company
That picture.
was stare. It's a GIF, Katie. Stare at Dan's ass during the national championship a few years ago when we were at a different sports book because we weren't with Penn yet. And I remember Dan walking in the old office, and at the old office, the elevators just opened up, and like people just came in. You walked right into the office, and he was like, "Damn, what an unfortunate gift for you, Casey. You just sexually harassed me with your eyes." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" The best thing I've ever done was stare at Dan's ass.
There you go.
It's a nice ass. What can you do?
I mean, I'm just no. I have no way of getting out of that one.
I text Erica last year. I think it was the Super Bowl in 2020 when we got home from Miami, and I did it again. I stared at his ass again on a live stream, and people caught it. And I texted her. I was like, "Is it okay now that we're with Penn? Am I allowed to still sexually harass my coworkers via blog?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Do what you want." So I've done that. But yeah, no, I mean, this company, the rumors fly. We are a version of reality TV. So people always want to know. But to answer all the people asking me if I am single, I am dating, but I am not married. There ain't no rock on this hand.
She's dating Nunya.
Ooh, I like that.
Nunya.
None your business. None your business. Okay, so let's get to some other questions. People are asking you guys questions too.
Yeah, but I think most of them were for you. I think the first one that
Well,
popped
when you
up.
say AMA, it's like people are. You know how many?
Yeah, the first one I think I saw was, would you consider selling your feet pics?
Yes.
And it was from a feet pic bot.
I've talked about selling my feet pics for the Barstool OnlyFans. I don't know where that went. I mean, that was like they paid for my pedicure. Remember that? Like Gaz was like, "Go get a pedicure, and we're gonna put your feet on the
I'm
Barstool
sure the
OnlyFans."
pictures still exist. I have a meeting tomorrow for OnlyFans, so.
But I think something changed at one point. It was gonna be for the Barstool Fund. But here's the thing with me: it's like I don't care about feet pics because I don't think feet are sexual.
Me either.
Like
I
I don't
get
see
it.
them as a sexual thing. So it's like if my feet, like whatever. Like I used to have people want to send me shoes in Boston because our set, you could see the bottom of or you could see our feet, and so they would want me to like wear the high heels and then send them back. But I was always scared someone was gonna kill me. Just whatever. I don't know why. Now I'm like, well, I'd sell my fucking feet. I don't care. They're just feet, right?
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm
I
like,
did
if you
get a
wanna look
question
at
of
it,
how
sure.
far I can squirt, which I thought was very funny that someone seriously asked me that. Like, sir, you got on Instagram with your name.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna say,
typed
it was
that
his
to me.
name, like,
his
not a
name and
bot.
face. Oh, it was not a bot.
Oh.
Straight up name and face. And I was like, dude, come on.
That's enough internet for today.
Enough internet. Okay, so what else do we have?
I like this one.
Should flip the script and host an episode of Lowering the Bar and pick something out you'd love to see Vibs eat. That's another people think Vibs and I are dating. I would like to go on record and say we are not, but people think so because every time I go on Lowering the Bar, they trick me into saying something sexual. Every time.
TikTok is horny. It works for that.
Every time they get me. It's bullshit.
TikTok's horny.
Actually, I do think we should put Vibs through a Lowering the Bar episode.
Doesn't he
actually a
try
really good
most of
idea.
it?
Yeah, that should be like a yearly thing. Like Vibs, it's you
Everyone in
flip
the
script.
office brings
Yeah.
in
That's the
something
thing
for
is
him.
he does
And he
do
has to do
he
a
does it.
gauntlet. He has to do a gauntlet.
He does do what we do, but he gets to pick it. So he knows what's coming. We don't. So that's what should happen. Is we should all get to pick something gross and make him just go through the gauntlet.
Someone's gonna like put like shit or something in it.
Oh no. No, Katie,
Someone's gonna be
come
mean.
on. Come
But
on.
no.
Well, I mean, what's PFT has ate
He
shit.
did, yeah, when the Caps won.
Yeah.
Like it was that video
He
made me
ate
puke.
poop.
It literally made me puke.
He ate horse poop. I
Like
think.
the video. Hank got the video. I think Hank was throwing up while videoing it, right? I think like it was disgusting. They went to
Was
like
it dry or like
no,
straight?
he got it like straight out of the horse's ass.
No, it was like you know how horses
Wasn't it at, like,
just
Central
shit,
Park?
They
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
they just shit on the once
But it was
they,
still,
when
like,
they want to shit.
It was like fresh. It wasn't like
And he went up and ate it. after
like
they-
like
not the full thing. Don't get it was like one bite.
It was so gross. The video exists on Barstool. We'll show you afterwards. Another question I got was favorite Barstool moment this year. 2021. What have we had good moments here this year? I don't know.
It was definitely tough at the college football show.
That
when
wasn't
Brandon
this year,
got pegged
though.
with eggs. Oh.
That was last year. In 2021, I would say doing the NFL show with Dion. Oh, I know. The Bucks winning the Super Bowl and me getting to tell everyone to fuck themselves because Tom Brady's my NFL team. That'd be my favorite moment. I like when everybody's back in the office. So just being able to be back around, like the day we did the bracket busters or whatever it was called, that was fun.
There's people there that I forgot worked here.
Oh, it was a good day. That was the first day it's felt normal since prior to the pandemic. But yeah, I would say finally embracing the fact, because when I first started working here, Jack knows this too, I hated that people gave me a hard time about Boston, and I was super sensitive about it. And when I turned 30, I wrote this really in-depth blog about my mental health and about my journey and my battle with cancer and everything like that. And I was and I love Boston because of all these reasons. Now I'm just I don't give a fuck if you care that I like Boston. And now my team in the NFL is Tom Brady. So Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl, that would be my favorite moment this year.
That sounds very on brand for someone from Boston or who likes Boston. I don't give a fuck.
I love the East Coast. People ask me a lot too, do I miss Texas? I loved growing up in Texas and I wouldn't change that because that's why I love college football so much. But I would much rather be on the East Coast. My personality fits up here. We let it fly up here.
I feel like I'm stuck to New York City, Boston, maybe Chicago, but I need a north.
You even say Boston with a little Boston accent.
Boston.
Put an H somewhere. Okay, let's see some more. Who would be your first choice as next co-host? No one.
Bring back Johnny.
I'm loyal. No. We're loyal. It's the four of us or nobody, right? The four of us till we die. Joe Pollard, I appreciate the question, but I can't pick a new co-host.
The only way I could see it happening would be if Brandon left, and that means either leaving Barstool or
if Brandon
leaving,
left, he would never let me continue to do this show.
The Earth because of
leaving the Earth. Well, he would haunt us. Can you imagine if he left, whether it was actually physically or he just took another job?
He would 100% haunt us.
I'm gonna say you're being really loyal to Brandon because if Brandon got asked to be a WWE personality tomorrow, he wouldn't even consider us.
I don't think he'd be wrestling.
What?
He'd definitely commentate. I feel like his wife wouldn't let him actually wrestle.
No, by manager, there's managers in the WWE world that they're characters. They don't really wrestle.
Fair.
If Brandon did not exist, I would love Laura Rutledge to be a co-host. I think she would be fucking awesome at Barstool. And then, Paige Spranik too, but everybody knows that. I got a lot of questions.
That would be you four. I'll produce it.
A lot of questions about me and Paige in my DMs too, a whole bunch. But we're gonna leave those in the DMs.
I mean, talk about a girl that runs the internet.
Oh yeah, when I was on her podcast, the stuff that we talked about, people still DM about it all the time. From Phil, is it Geiss? You think? I'm so bad. What was your favorite interview when you were a sideline reporter? Which is a great question. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before. The year after the Kick 6 happened, I spent the whole week with SportsCenter in the state of Alabama, going back and forth between Tuscaloosa and Auburn, and I got to do a one-on-one sit-down with Coach Saban asking about the Kick 6 and asking him just how he handled it in the locker room afterwards. And that was the first time I'd ever met him, and it was so intimidating. But what was really impressive to me is we met, and then 3 or 4 days later, he remembered little tiny details about me. And you think about Iron Bowl week and after the Kick 6, there's no way that he cares about one sideline reporter's opinions on things, but he's always been super impressive. But I remember that moment, I still have a picture at my parents' house framed. It's from the background of me and Coach Saban with all the cameras around. I was like, holy shit, this is that moment. I really enjoyed working with Coach Saban. So let's see. I have some written down too. Queso or guac? Queso a million times. Fuck are we doing here?
Moe's queso is the best queso out there.
I love avocado. Love it. I like to take it, cut it in half, take the pit out, and fill the little boat. I call it a boat. It's not a boat. A moat with hot sauce and eat it with a spoon. Love it. Queso? I could bathe in queso and be happy. I think guac's overrated.
Yeah, guac, it's good, but guacamole toast and guac this and avocado this, it's good, but
I like
queso's
avocado. I don't necessarily care for guacamole as a dip.
I like
Frank
it,
is
but
screaming outside.
The Phillies, I think, just scored one singular run.
Frank is just
against the Mets, and then Frank's just yelling out.
He's just screaming. Okay, let's see what else do we have. Do you believe Kellen Mond will be have a successful NFL career, starter at some point? I think he could. Depends on what team he lands at. That's what's so, like, with the Sam Darnold stuff. I know it's not an NFL podcast. Like, I think Sam Darnold could be a really successful starting quarterback somewhere else other than the Jets. It just depends on where Kellen lands, I think.
No, we're talking about with your career, just situations and like where you end
Jack,
up.
look
When
at
you
that.
end up.
That's true.
That's it. And I think that's when we not insult, but make fun of specific players and quarterbacks specifically. It really matters where you end up, what coaches you have, what players you have around you.
It depends. The system.
I as a Jets
I'm a
fan,
product
I think
of a
I
system.
could definitely see Sam Darnold.
Well, he's going to be with Joe
being
Brady,
great.
too.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about that. Like, that, to me, is the biggest storyline. Like, everyone's talking about what the Jets got and, like, what the Panthers did, whatever. The fact that he's going to be with Joe Brady, who obviously made Joe Burrow who he was or helped make that's going to be interesting for me. What's Brandon's favorite restaurant in Dorsey, Mississippi? I have no clue what Dorsey, Mississippi is, but is that close to Oxford?
It's Clay J. Taylor. It looks like you're a great family man. You have 2 children.
That's what I'm wondering.
You love Jesus.
He's a Mississippi State fan. I wonder where Dorsey is. Is it close to Starkville?
These were questions for Casey. Why does Brandon hate Iowa? I mean, come on.
Oh, well, Brandon hates Iowa because they called him a racist.
After the 2018
bowl season?
Outback Bowl, I
yes,
think?
it was.
Because he came 2019.
Because he said that Iowa was the whitest team in the country.
He said, we just lost to the slowest, whitest team in the country.
And then they, doxed his wife and, tried to get her fired.
They really
went after his family pretty good. You can't
still,
do that. Calm the fuck down,
people. He still
people.
got, phone calls and Facebook messages from that video up until, I think, last year.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I think he still does, but he also leans into it now. He's become full heel. That's what you do here at Barstool. Let's see. What's your favorite barbecue food to eat and what drink is washing it down? I love jalapeno cheddar sausage. Give me a spicy sausage. I do like to dip it in barbecue sauce. I know some people don't think you should dip it in sauce, but if you're going to be eating that, I want to wash it down with a nice cold Shiner Bock, probably. I'm not a huge beer person, but if I'm going to eat barbecue, you should probably drink beer.
I feel like having some kind of carbonated beverage, whether it's a soda or a beer or something. Like with pizza, you need to have a carbonated beverage.
Oh, I don't know. Red wine with pizza is pretty good. But you're not a red wine person.
No,
I do see what you mean.
That's a fair point.
I do see what it's like hamburgers. You have to have a carbonated drink. Yeah. Barbecue, I do feel like you need something very cold and carbonated. My favorite beer is Guinness, but you're not drinking fucking Guinness with barbecue.
Ugh. Sorry, dark beer. Moving on.
You and your palate. What's your best Mac Brown story? Oh, we know I love Mac Brown. That's something we share. You and I love Mac Brown. I've said this a bunch. Mac and I got to know each other when I worked at ESPN. We took a very funny photo shoot with him doing the horns up, me doing the gig 'em with my ring and my thumbs up and everything. But he still to this day will check on me, see how I'm doing, congratulates me on my success professionally, but also will check on me with my cancer stuff. Every year, when it's another year in remission, he will always text me, which I think is great. I love Mac Brown. And I think that anybody that goes to A&M that Mac Brown used to haunt their dreams, they can admit, let's separate the University of Texas head coach from the actual dude because he's fucking awesome. Right?
Yeah. I worked with his wife for the last season I was there. Just wonderful people. I remember I walked in the door. I was walking out of weights when they were walking into their presser. He held the door open for me, and I was a sweaty motherfucker coming out of weights in a gray t-shirt, and he was there in a full suit, and his wife toted by Bubba and everyone, and I was like,
he's just nice.
Okay.
He's just a nice dude. And I like when he dances in the locker room.
Oh, my God. Him and Roy.
Oh, no. Katie's going to cry, Jack.
No. I'm okay.
Gonna cry.
I like
Katie's
Hubert.
Going to cry.
I like Hubert Davis. I did spend a lot of time crying the day that Roy. Also, who the fuck announces that shit on April 21st? April 1st.
I was going to say, I didn't think it was true. I didn't think it was true.
Yeah. I spent way too long. But besides that, happy with Hubert. But Roy and Mac can't dance for shit, but it's the cutest thing ever.
It's so cute.
They make me coordinated.
Well, that's the way I feel about Dabo, too. I think it's cute when he tries that shit. I know Jack doesn't agree with me.
We need Brandon to telephone in.
Brandon's going to haunt my dreams. Outside of A&M, who do you have affection for in other programs and for what specific reasons? I butchered that question, but basically what teams do I like? If you've listened to this podcast, I absolutely love Madison, Wisconsin. That was by far my favorite college football show we've ever done. It was fucking great. Dan took us to an amazing restaurant in Madison. So I love Wisconsin and I like Michigan. It's truly because of Dave and Dan, because I've now been to Ann Arbor and Madison multiple times, and I love it. If I was not an A&M fan, I would be a fan of the Big Ten. Absolutely. Oh, no. Why is there a gif of Vaseline with it?
We'll skip that
Okay,
question.
no, I'm going to just say it because now people are listening. So it said, first time, long time, interested to hear more about your experience with poppers that you mentioned briefly on Friday Night Pints. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks. With a gif of Vaseline. Sir, this is a different program. This is a family program. We are not speaking of that. But thanks for watching Friday Night Pints. No, I'm not reading that one. I just refuse to read that. A lot of questions on why Brandon's blocked people. I don't have that answer.
We have
Guys,
a way
it's
for
like
you to
what-
unblock now.
Guys, and also it's so simple. You probably said something at some
made him
point.
Or
mad.
you even does he block off of likes like Rico does?
He may.
Basically, if you're not an Ole Miss fan, don't be rude.
It says, why did B-Walk block me? Never done anything but on his side. I grew up in Mississippi and can't stand Ole Miss, so sad he's gotten soft like Rico. Well, that's a ricochet shot at Rico. Well, not that's just a direct shot. I'm boycotting the podcast until I'm unblocked. Well, don't boycott this episode. He's not on it. But I don't know. I get that question all the time.
So many people said right here that he's blocked. I'm like, hey, $2 Venmo. I've loaded it. Not $5, $2 now.
I mean, listen.
Unblocked for life.
Would you rather fight 25 toddler-sized Nick Sabans or 1 elephant-sized Lane Kiffin?
Elephant-sized Lane Kiffin all day.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Saban, he would
25 Nick Sabans?
lethal. Especially if it was like the mind of like the adult
That's
Saban.
what I'm saying. Toddler-sized Nick Sabans? That sounds horrifically bad. Let's see. What else do I have on here?
Toddler size. Yeah.
Wait,
so they are.
would you pick Barstool Mincy to replace? Oh, that got him blocked. Oh.
Wow.
So no, Jack, what would you? Toddler-sized Nick Saban or elephant-sized Lane Kiffin? 25 toddlers, 1 elephant.
25 toddlers.
No, but they have the mind of Nick Saban. That's
The
lethal.
elephant would kill you no matter
Yeah,
what.
but 25 of Nick Sabans, and like toddlers are what, like this tall maybe? Think about 25 of those, right? Or no, maybe toddlers like that tall. How tall are toddlers? How tall are toddlers?
Like 4.
Brandon would know.
Yeah, he is one.
He is one and has like 17 of them. I still think that 1 is better than 25, Jack.
You're gonna die with the elephant.
You're gonna die, I think, either way.
No,
But
the toddlers.
I
you
would
could-
make.
But
What are
look,
you gonna
the
do? You're just gonna
If you
punt
punch
them?
one toddler, they're done no matter what. You're down to 24. Knee one, kick another.
But what if they drag you down?
They pull you
And
apart.
think about it, they have
5
Nick
on each
Saban's
limb.
brain, so they're not toddler brained. They're
There's-
adult brained.
They take 5 of them on each limb and pull.
Yeah.
Like an elephant
Oh.
will just lie on you and you're dead. You'll suffocate. Like that's gonna be a painful death.
But
with
what
25
about
toddlers.
what's the elephant?
It's gonna,
But-
if it dies, you're gonna.
I guess you could run away from the elephant.
You could run, and also like you could probably talk Lane Kiffin out of trying to kill you. You can't
And-
talk Nick Saban, especially
and the
25 of them trying to
elephant-
kill you.
The elephant would. I think they're pretty calm.
Are they? They're nice, aren't they? I mean, I think they could probably just
They can
murder you, but
stampede.
yeah, but maybe you could run away. But like again, I think Lane Kiffin could probably be talked out of fighting you. I don't think Nick Saban could be, especially times 25.
Yeah, no. That's like the would you live with the snail that lives solely to like kill you.
Yeah. He
like, well, that's tough.
he wouldn't stop until he
How
wins.
many toddlers do you think you could take at once? With toddler brains.
Like trying to kill
No
me?
weapons. No anything.
No weapons.
No weapons.
Toddler brains.
Yep.
I've gotten chased around a field by them. Like they are.
They're scary. Toddlers because they have no
Yeah,
fear.
but you were chasing
So
the
you
field,
can't-
but you couldn't turn around and kick
Oh,
them.
I know.
Yeah, you can't punk kick a
I
toddler.
wish I could
But
sometimes.
you can in this scenario.
Oh, in this scenario
this
you
is
can?
This is your, like, it's life or death. These toddlers aren't, like, you won't get in trouble, and if you don't defeat them,
You're dead?
you're dead.
I think I could probably go like 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that. Low double
10.
digits.
Yeah. Maybe.
Like,
I mean, you get tired after a while.
give me a bad. We're good. But
Jesus, Katie.
life or death. Don't fuck around.
Let's do a few more and then we'll end. Oh, my Masters pick? Jordan Spieth. I love Jordan Spieth. And he's having a hell of a run right now. Oh, shut up, Katie. I want you to fire off your golf take on Twitter this week just to rile the people up.
Yeah.
You should.
literally do it on the day of first round, so that's tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, you should. That is tomorrow.
I'll do
When
it.
this podcast comes out, it'll be the first round. How has working for Barstool impacted your life? I mentioned that earlier. I keep everything a lot more private now. My social life and my private life are a lot more separate. But again, I love working here. I can't say that enough. And when people are like, "Oh, you just say that because you're employed here," it's like, well, no, I've worked in network TV. I know the other side of it. This place is by far the best. Let's see. I got so many like sex questions in my DMs.
Yeah,
Does that surprise you,
okay.
like whatsoever? Let's see.
The thing, if Jack and Katie didn't exist, who would you have like produced the pod?
See,
Next
this is
person.
again. I'm not doing this because I'm loyal.
All right.
I'm just loyal.
Let's do some of the Facebook group questions.
Oh, we would put
just
it on
to-
Facebook. They
yeah.
don't like me, do they?
No, they do.
Oh.
Sometimes they do. Like, there's like, I mean, it's like anything. Like, there's people who don't like Brandon. There's people that don't like me.
Don't like me, the
Yeah.
Notre Dame guys.
Yeah, but don't worry. I'm not going to read any, like, absurd. This is from Alex Prunier. For all three of you, when you were a student, what was the worst home game, win or loss, you were in attendance for?
Oh, that's a good one. See, I know I was very young when this happened, but anytime anybody says what was the worst game is when Oklahoma beat us 77-0. But that was when I was like super young.
7-0.
Shut the fuck up, Katie.
77. That's such a great photo.
I would say, I mean, I wasn't a student, but I was working. It was my year outside of, or my first year out of school, and I was working for TexAgs when Texas beat A&M on the field goal, Justin Tucker field goal to send A&M to the SEC. That one wasn't very fun to watch. Losing to Texas every year was not fun. I'm going to go ahead and say that.
If college football had a relegation...
Wait, you guys have to answer.
Yeah. I think
Jack?
maybe freshman year, I think we lost to NC State. Maybe the sophomore year, it was just the last of Larry Fedora, and there's a huge like bench clearing brawl. I love the brawl.
Oh, that was a great brawl.
But just like I remember walking back to like my dorm after the game and was like, this fucking sucks. And it was like we thought Fedora was coming back next year. No respect to him, good guy and whatever, but it was like 2-9, 3-9 season. We're just like, this
it just hurts, man. It hurts. That is the one thing about working in traditional media that I hated the most is it kind of desensitized me. Like I wasn't near as sad when A&M would lose because you're not allowed to say we or us. Like you're supposed to be unbiased. Fuck that. Now I'm all the way back into that. But like for a few years, it's like, well, if they lose, they lose. Now I'm just as heartbroken. I used to, literally throw myself down on the ground as a kid when A&M would lose.
Worst loss for me is first game of the Paul Pasqualoni era, which was awful, which was right after UConn made their first BCS game, and Randy Edsall, who's now their coach, went to Maryland. UConn lost to Towson, which is
Yikes.
Damn.
Yikes.
Towson. So that one was probably one of the hardest losses for me as a
Tough. Oh, somebody's asking if I've ever been to Bluebell Park, which is the A&M baseball park. Yes, I have, because it was built a while ago. One of the coolest college baseball stadiums. Have you ever seen it?
Mm-mm.
It literally looks like a miniature Major League Baseball stadium. It's fucking awesome. And yes, I have seen the Ball 5 chant in person. I think college baseball traditions just across the board are really cool. It's not college football.
Yeah, I wonder
but
what
some-
sport has the best traditions.
It's got to be football, right?
soccer and football.
For college, I mean, I guess it depends on where you are. And because obviously a lot of basketball schools would probably say basketball. But, I mean, it's a college football podcast for sure.
Football.
Yeah.
Speaking of what's the best tradition at A&M, I think that it's no, Katie, it's not grabbing the nuts. That's not a fucking tradition. The student section is different, I think, than anywhere else in the country. Like, there are 35,000 students there. And, like, the whole side of the stadium is students. I don't think it's like that anywhere else, right?
No. Like
I mean, literally, like, when you look at Kyle Field that holds, like, 105,000 people capped out at, like, 110, an entire side of it is students. I think that's probably the coolest tradition to me. The yelling. And I know everyone makes fun of the yell leaders, la-di-da, but when you have 100,000 people all saying the exact same thing at the same time, it's so much better than, like, defense. No offense to cheerleaders. But, like,
yeah.
everyone saying beat the hell out of Alabama at the same time sounds way fucking cooler than, like, 10 people doing defense.
Parker Ormond. Sorry if I messed up your name there. If college football had a relegation system like soccer, which team from each P5 conference would you send down? And which team from each G5 conference would you move up? All right, so SEC, let's agree upon Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt, yeah, we would send Vandy down.
Pac-12.
That one's tough because they're all kind of just like.
You know what?
I don't want to
getting rid
say
of
Colorado.
Wazoo.
Really?
Yeah, just get out of here. Or maybe
No, I don't think so.
Maybe Oregon State.
I was about to say
Oregon State feels like Big 12. Like, it's not down, but they don't feel like a Pac-12 team. Or Utah.
Yeah.
Utah.
Utah, give them
Yeah.
to the Mountain West.
Big Ten. I'm sending down
Rutgers.
Rutgers. Actually,
Michigan State.
no. I'm sending down
It has to be Rutgers.
Indiana.
Why?
No, that's him. That's him, the anti-Tom Allen.
Yeah.
talking.
Why?
I'm just
Why
getting
else
rid of
then?
Indiana.
Why else
Why?
then?
I just don't like. I don't know. I just.
Okay.
Oh no! You know what? No. Maryland. I'm getting rid of Maryland.
Oh, I could. Yeah, Maryland's not a bad answer.
Or maybe Illinois.
I want to keep Rutgers because I think if Rutgers gets good, we could really turn New York City into more of a
good
college
point.
football.
Good
New
point, Jack.
Jersey.
Yeah, but at
You
least
grew up in New York City. New Jersey's right there.
Yeah,
Show
no.
some respect.
Ew.
ACC.
Wake Forest.
Well, no, Boston College. I'm getting it.
Well, that's you. That's another
Boston
personal
College gone. Dunzo. See ya.
personal vendetta there. Or Georgia Tech.
No, I think we
S-
keep Georgia Tech.
Big 12. We'll get rid of what? Kansas?
Baylor.
Baylor. Okay, yeah.
That's just because I
All
want
right,
to.
we're bringing up one.
That's just because I want to. I mean, who would you actually say though for the Big 12? I would say Baylor just out of pure spite, but Kansas
Yeah.
for football.
Kansas.
Yeah, it'd have to be Kansas.
Kansas, yeah.
Who would we bring up? I think you have to bring UCF up.
I'd say it's Cincy. But if it's between UCF and Cincy.
I'm not bringing
Yeah.
any American team up. I'm bringing.
You have to pick
No,
one.
I'm bringing up UConn in.
Oh,
in
wow.
place
Okay,
of-
well, I feel like Cincinnati probably would make the most sense, but UCF, as of years past, I mean, Houston's a good one.
Tulsa's okay, but they need another year of that.
Yeah. Who in the
No,
Sun Belt?
Tulsa. It's in the Sun Belt. Georgia Southern. They got their culture fucking rocks.
I would say Texas State, just so they're. Well, no, never mind. I wouldn't because I wouldn't want to recruit against another D1 school.
Guess which one
the
I'm gonna
Raging
pick.
Cajuns.
Guess
Bring
which
up
one
the
I'll
Raging
pick.
Cajuns.
Guess which one I'm picking.
Which one? Who are you picking?
Coastal.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Well, you also just like loved the mullet thing.
I don't know. I like the party asshole.
Yeah, no,
vibe,
Coastal's a good one.
unfortunately, to a fault.
Coastal. Okay. Who did we have to bring anything else up?
What are their minor
Mountain
Wait,
West.
Sun Belt, Mountain West.
Did we bring up anybody from the Mountain West?
No, I'm thinking.
They're who cares?
No. Yes, I care.
Shout out Colton.
Wyoming. Let's bring up Wyoming.
Wyoming's a good one. I like
Josh Allen.
Wyoming.
All right, Sun Belt. What else are we missing? Mountain West, Sun Belt, AAC, MAC. Who are we bringing up?
Oh, from the MAC. Good call. I would say
Buffalo.
Buffalo's not bad.
Akron, maybe. No. I don't know. Make
I mean,
it
they let
interesting
me
and
down so.
That's
they,
true.
They
Yeah,
let
you
me
hate
down.
Akron.
I guess
They don't get.
Western Michigan.
Yeah, I don't hate them. Ohio, Toledo's not bad either. Conference USA, FAU. I would just love
Oh yeah.
an SEC team in Boca Raton. I think that'd
Yes,
be funny.
that'd be yeah.
Anyways, that's.
I like that. That was a good question.
That's.
Yeah, we got a lot of football questions. I feel like we could talk forever, but we should probably. How long have we been going, Jack?
a long time, but let's finish. I just want to get to all the Facebook group questions.
All of them.
Well, there's only like a few more.
Okay.
Here's a good one. John Costello. If you time traveled back and you couldn't go to your alma mater, what would be your next top school? We've had questions similar to this, but I think
Michigan.
I mean, mine's easy. If I go to any school, Harvard.
You just say that like as if that's just like the most normal answer ever.
Your life is made.
Yes, but I think is he talking about like as a college football fan?
I can be a college football fan at Harvard.
I guess so.
I'll sacrifice.
Wow.
Since it's
Credit to
Katie,
you.
if you could be a rower somewhere else, where would you be a rower?
Probably a Big Ten. I like Michigan, Wisconsin, or Penn State.
There you go. Oh yeah, I've said this a lot. Like I loved growing up watching the Big 12 because that's obviously where A&M was until my senior year, or no, I guess until 2012. Yeah, when I graduated. But if I wasn't a fan of an SEC school, I would be a Big Ten fan. I think the Big Ten does football right.
I just like the culture too. Like especially
It's
with UNC.
cold.
like it's colder, and also like it's good education, it's good party scenes, good athletics.
I love I like seeing the different. I mean, granted, any big college football school would be fun to go to.
This is the last one. Perfect place to end. Great question from Nathan Ruddock. And again, please join our Facebook group. You
Also,
can find the link
subscribe
on Twitter.
to
YouTube.
YouTube. You can see us.
It's really hard to miss us on YouTube. If you could marry Matthew McConaughey, but it meant Texas A&M never won a national title again, would you do it?
This is an unfair question.
It's a good question.
This is mixing business and pleasure. If I could marry Matthew McConaughey, but A&M never won a title again. Well, here's the thing. A&M's never won a title anywhere near my lifetime. They haven't done it since the 30s, and I'm just kind of used to it. Now, if the question was, would you rather marry Matthew McConaughey or A&M win a national championship, that's different. But I'll be honest, A&M's not won really anything my entire life other than, like a conference championship like 25 years ago, it feels like.
So much positivity right now. So much hope for the future.
Marrying Matthew McConaughey, he's Matthew McConaughey.
National championships. Also
If
plural.
I were you.
You would marry him?
Yeah.
Can I say that I would marry Matthew McConaughey, but like A&M would just always kind of be in the mix?
Well, I mean, if they continue a current trajectory, like they're in the mix.
Well, I want A&M to win a national championship more than I want anything, but marrying Matthew
more
McConaughey...
than you want to marry Matthew McConaughey?
Yes, but hypothetically, I don't have a chance to marry Matthew McConaughey, so in this hypothetical...
And also, Texas A&M doesn't have a chance to win a natty.
Well, that's not true, Katie. We almost made the playoffs last year. I don't like this question. Can I take C both? I've gone on my Matthew McConaughey rants on this show. Like, yes, I would probably marry Matthew McConaughey for almost anything sports related. Technically, if you marry Matthew McConaughey, I would hate Texas because it's the rival. But if Texas won a national title, then my husband would be happy. I would be upset, but at least one of us was happy.
That's true.
Would you marry somebody if North Carolina never won a national title again? I mean, Matthew McConaughey's not even my number one, but I understand he's the rival of A&M, so.
There's not even, I don't even know a celebrity or something that would, like,
Justin Bieber.
We've had a Justin Bieber conversations. I don't.
All right. Well, that was a podcast. Brandon, I hope you're doing well. There's no way he's going to listen to this.
No way.
I actually didn't miss him today.
He might hate listen.
He might actually hate listen. But thanks, everybody who sent in questions. I know we had a whole bunch we couldn't get to. But it's the off season, so maybe we'll do it again. We'll be reading DMs soon, I think. That one always pops off on YouTube. Make sure you go to our Facebook group, our YouTube. Subscribe. We still have to figure out what we're going to do when we hit certain milestones on YouTube.
Yeah, we have a Facebook post that people have recommendations for. We need to go sift. Oh, yeah. There's a...
I'm sure they're wonderful. Thanks again, and we will be back next week, hopefully with Brandon.